Hey, this is Edwin Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven. And today I want to talk about really the core success of any strategy. If you know me, I love talking about strategy. But if all we do is talk, nothing gets done. Hello, this is Edwin Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven. If you have followed me, read my books, listened to my podcasts, you know that I quite often talk about strategy. And it's funny because I've had people belittle that word, that concept, that it's just sitting in a room and thinking up great ideas. That's what strategy is. I had somebody tell me that. Oh, so you just get paid to think up of great ideas. And I scoffed because I knew that the fact that he was degrading the word and the concept meant he had zero understanding of the word or the practice. Meaning, I could tell right away he had no strategy. It's like making fun of somebody on a diet while you're fat. We already know that you're not on a diet. We already know that you don't believe in diets. And you're quite the poster child for the reasons why someone should be on a diet. This is how I treat those who scoff at strategy. They scoff at it because they don't have one, they don't understand it, and they think it's just some thinking process that you do, and you contemplate your navel, and you come up, you have these brainstorm sessions, and good meeting, and a month later, it's all for naught. See, strategy is a step. It's an important step. It's like having a financial plan. Can you imagine going and starting a business and having no financial system or financial plan as a business? Now, there's deploying the financial plan. That's the next step. But if you have no idea what your expenditures are, what you have to pay, your payroll, your taxes, you have no breakdowns of percentages of where money goes, and you don't have a financial plan, you won't execute. You'll always be out of money. You'll always be broke. You'll be in trouble with the IRS, et cetera, et cetera. But having the financial plan also doesn't guarantee financial success either. So you need both. You have to have the financial plan, and you have to make the money and put the money where the financial plan says that the money should go. This is the same with strategy. Now, I believe that strategy can be much simpler than we try to make it out to be. Yes, there's complex books. I bought the Harvard Business Review book. I'm almost done with it. It's called On Strategy. It goes very, very in depth in strategy. One does not need to read that book. I just read it because I love the subject. If you love the subject, I suggest you read the book. It is not an easy read, nor is it a hard read. It's a read. And so I tell people, really strategy, if we take a look at what strategy is, it's how do we get from where we are to where we want to go with what we have? How do we get to where we want to go with what we have and where we are? That's a simple version. And if you're a strategy aficionado, I'm sure you're going to punch holes through my definition. But that's how I define it. For a small business, when a solopreneur or a small business under 20 people comes to me and they go, what is a strategy? I go, you're in point A, you have a point B you want to be at. That's called a goal. That could be a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, the end of your life. That's up to you. And then we have some existing resources. And we have to figure out how to use our existing resources to get from where you are to where you want to go. And then we have to deploy those existing resources with the purpose of getting us to point B. So we have to define how those resources will be used, how more resources will be garnered, and who is in charge of deploying those resources in said direction of the goal that we've obtained or we've defined. That's strategy. And factually, most strategies that I write for small businesses is a couple pages. It's not complex. It's very simple. But the moment we get all that confusion and thoughts and thinking and ideas down on paper, when we articulate it well, when we articulate it clearly, when we articulate it fully, it's a complete articulation of who we are, where we want to go, and what we have, and who we have to get to where we want to go. The next step is, are the people that we've assigned these tasks to, are they capable and willing to execute the steps that we've assigned? So if we go, okay, we need a CRM. Let's just say we have a CRM, but we don't really use it. This is a common resource that's unleveraged in marketing. We have a CRM, we don't use it. We don't have all our past clients. We don't have our contacts. We don't have our leads. We don't engage with them with phone calls. We don't engage with them with email or content. We don't retarget them on social media. We don't use video marketing. We don't invite them to events. We don't check up on how they're doing. We don't even see if there's an opportunity for us to work with them on. So we go, okay, this is a problem. So we're going to get a CRM, and Joe's going to make the phone calls, and Bill's going to video the content, and then Bill's going to work with the virtual assistant to make sure that the content gets out. And then the virtual assistants, along with the rest of the team, are going to put all the names in the CRM. And then every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we're going to take our content, we're going to email it out. Concurrently, we're going to retarget those who visit our content on Facebook and YouTube ads, while we also call them and invite them to our events. We lay this all out. And this is just one example. This is just one example of how to use one resource. We may have identified 10 resources, such as a CRM, and each one would have how we actually deploy the system, how we actually leverage that resource to move us towards said opportunity and goal. But here's the problem. I write it out. I review it with everybody. We read it together so that there's no confusion. Everybody sees it. It's not some idea. It's not a dim thought. It's an actual tactical activity that a person is assigned to deploy, and if done, will move us that much closer. And when a number of people do it and do so rapidly and completely, this thing called progress occurs. Now, you'd think that after review of a written document that everybody agrees with, that has identified every single resource necessary to move the opportunity forward, you think everybody go, yay, let's just move forward. And this is where we fall down. You know, I was on a call yesterday with one of my partners, and I said to him, I said, one of the biggest jobs that I have as a strategist is pointing out the obvious of what they're not doing. It's almost like people like to talk about ideas and problems, but don't like to talk about what they're going to do and what they have done to move the ball down the gridiron to make a touchdown. Can you imagine if Tom Brady all he did was get in the huddle and call plays, but then when the ball was snapped, he just fell down? He never passed it. He never read the defense. He never called audibles. He just took the ball and he fell down. All that strategy supposedly didn't work, but really what happened is Tom Brady didn't throw the ball. That's all that happened. Everything was ideal. The plan was ideal. The coaching was ideal. He had the great players. He had the resources. He had the momentum. He had the pay. He had the support. He had the organization. But he didn't pass the ball. Everything up to that point breaks down when Tom Brady doesn't throw the ball. And this is the weak link for success. You can lay out the strategy, but after we put you, when you come out of the huddle and you're snapped the ball, you don't throw it. Your guards and tackles don't block. Your wide receivers fail to run the route. That's where it falls down. And then people want to talk about, well, was the plan right? And then they pontificate on the plan. And, do we have the right coach? And they get into all these questions and interesting conversations about everything else except I didn't throw the ball. I didn't tackle and block. I didn't run the route. And when you get 11 players doing what they're supposed to do to the strategy, and they do it well, the ball moves forward. And if you continue to do that consistently, you get touchdowns or field goals. That's how it works in football. That's how it works in life. And so to the people that come to me and go, I got a great idea, my first question is, what are you doing currently on this great idea to move the ball forward? And if it's just a great idea with no written strategy, no identification of resources, then you better pay me a lot of money to get you to that point. Otherwise, I have zero interest in that conversation because the conversation's easy. A lazy person can have that conversation. A crazy person can have that conversation. A lunatic can have that conversation. But do you know when all the craziness and the lunacy and all the laziness ends? It's when people do it. They snap the ball, they run the ball, they block, they tackle, they make progress. And in business, that progress is called profits. It's called cash flow. Just look at and watch an edition of Shark Tank and look at the questions. Just watch 100 shows of Shark Tank and tell me the type of questions that they ask the participants and guests. Are you making money? Are you profitable? Are you making progress? They won't invest unless this is happening. It's as simple as that. Great execution in business. It can be the weak link, but it can also be your superpower. This has been another edition of Growth Driven with Edwin Dearborn. Make it a great day.